I sit alone in the sterile Seattle clinic, my trembling hands clutching my phone. The diagnosis paperwork stares up at me from my lap, the words, papillary thyroid carcinoma, bold against the white paper. Cancer. I have cancer. My throat tightens as I scroll through our family group chat. They've posted photos from the Bahamas crystal waters, toothy smiles, fruity drinks with little umbrellas exactly 7 minutes after I texted that I needed someone to drive me home after thyroid surgery next week. Dr. Winters wants to monitor you overnight, the nurse had explained 20 minutes ago. You'll need someone to drive you home the following day. Dr. Winters wants to monitor you home the following day. Any imager? I'd nodded, already composing the message to my family in my head, certain they'd figure something out. Mom and Dad were always talking about how family comes first. Always. My thumb hovers over Cassie's latest message, the words searing into my vision. Wait, you thought we'd cancel the Bahamas for that? For cancer. For me. My phone buzzes with a new notification. The medical transport company's confirmation. $280 for the ride home. Tears blur my vision as I click accept, the blue button swimming before my eyes. I blink back the memory of 6 years ago, standing in Boston College's financial aid office. The scholarship offer $11,000 lay on the desk between me and my future. Mom had broken her leg the week before. We need you home, Greer, Dad had said over the phone. Just defer for a year. I never went. That year became another, then another. Family sacrifices for each other, Mom had said, when I finally packed away the acceptance letter for good. 2 months later, they funded Landon's third business attempt, $60,000. He needs this chance, Dad explained. It's what family does. Last winter, I'd had the flu so bad I couldn't stand. My fever spiked to 103. I called them, my voice cracking with delirium. No one came. No one checked. When I mentioned it later, Mom said, "You're a grown woman, Greer. We thought you were handling it." I stare at my phone now, my finger hovering over the keys. I type, "I have cancer," then immediately delete it. I won't use my illness to guilt them. I won't beg for what should be freely given. My phone buzzes. Mom, don't guilt trip us, Greer. Can't you ask a friend? My hand steadies as I book the medical transport myself. The confirmation arrives instantly, my shoulders square with a strange, sad resolve. I tuck the phone away and gather my papers, nodding to the receptionist as I leave. The family chat lights up again. Dad this time. Greer, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's just routine surgery. Just routine. Just thyroid cancer. Just me. Cassie chimes in. You always do this when we're having fun. Do what? Get cancer? Need help? Exist? Landon sends a beach selfie captioned, "Wish you were here. But also glad someone's watching my place. Thanks, sis." I step outside into the Seattle rain, letting it mix with the tears I can no longer hold back. The weight of understanding settles across my shoulders like a heavy coat. They've always seen me as a resource. The reliable one. The one who stays. The one who gives. Never as a person with needs of my own. I mentally calculate how much of my rent money this diagnosis is already consuming. For the first time, I wonder what would happen if I simply stopped. Stopped being available. Stopped putting them first. Stopped pretending we're a family when I'm really just their safety net. The cold realization washes over me as I slide into the back seat of the waiting car. This surgery, this cancer, I'll be facing it completely alone. But maybe I always have been. After I came back to the apartment, I froze in my doorway, laptop balanced on one arm. The familiar chime of a video call echoes from my screen, but it isn't mine, it's them. The family group call I wasn't invited to join, but Mother mistakenly added me somehow. My mother's laughter spills through my speakers before I can mute it. A technical glitch syncing my devices has connected me to their world uninvited. I'm a ghost in their gathering. It's just thyroid surgery. Cassie's voice rings clear, the beach sunshine painting her shoulders golden. Not like she's dying or anything. My hand trembles against the doorframe. Just surgery. Just cancer. I need to focus on my startup pitch that week anyway. Landon adds, sipping something fruity from a coconut. The investors won't reschedule just because Greer's having a procedure. The word procedure hangs in the air like smoke. I think of the $13,500 I transferred to his account 9 months ago. Money that was supposed to be for a down payment on a real apartment, not this closet I call home. This is the one, Greer. He'd promised. The business that'll change everything. Mom adjusts her sun hat. Let's talk about dinner reservations instead. My finger hovers over the disconnect button as Dad chimes in about some beachfront restaurant. I click, and silence floods my apartment. I sink onto my couch, scrolling back through weeks of family chat history. There they are, dozens of call notifications I never received. They've been meeting without me for months, planning vacations, holiday gatherings, Sunday dinners. The truth settles into my bones like winter. I'm the family member they tolerate, not include. In my 420 square foot Tacoma apartment, I drag a kitchen chair to the bathroom and methodically relocate essentials from high shelves to the counter. Toothpaste, gauze, prescription bottles. My throat aches at the thought of reaching after surgery. My phone buzzes. Another vacation photo from Cassie, her feet propped on a lounge chair, ocean in the background. Missing this yet? The caption reads, "The doorbell startles me." I open it to find my sister's terrier, Cooper, straining at his leash, Cassie already retreating toward her car. "You'll be home anyway, right?" She calls over her shoulder, dropping the leash handle and a bag of dog food at my feet. "Just for the week." "Thanks." Her car pulls away before I can remind her about my surgery. Before I can tell her that Cooper barks at Clover until my cat hides beneath the bed for hours. My phone rings. "Mom, Greer, I need your help with these vacation photos. They're not uploading properly to my Facebook page." I balance the phone between my ear and shoulder, Cooper's leash in one hand, the surgery preparation instructions in the other. "Mom, I'm getting ready for." "It'll just take a minute. I want to share these before we get to the restaurant." I don't mention the surgery. She knows. She just doesn't want to acknowledge it. A text from Landon pings while I'm walking Mom through the photo upload process. "Can I borrow your Canon for vacation memories?" Mine's acting up. Not a word about the surgery. Not a single question about how I'm feeling. At my pre-op appointment the next day, Dr. Winters reviews potential complications, his voice measured and clinical. There's a possibility of voice changes or loss. The recurrent laryngeal nerve runs close to the thyroid. You'll need someone to help communicate for you if that happens. I nod, thinking of the empty apartment waiting for me, the whiteboard I've already purchased. "Any questions about post-operative care?" he asks, glancing at the empty chair beside me. "The medical transport," I begin, my voice smaller than I intend. "It's $280. Will my insurance cover any of that?" His eyes soften. "Unfortunately, no. Insurance covers the procedure, but not transportation." I swipe my credit card later at the billing desk, mentally calculating how close this puts me to missing rent. The clerk hands me a receipt with a sympathetic smile. "Is there anyone who can stay with you the first night home?" she asks. "My neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, will check on my cat." I offer, as if that answers her question. "I mean for you," she clarifies. "There are potential complications: bleeding, difficulty breathing that require immediate attention." I stare at the pattern in the carpeting. I'll manage. Later, I stand before my bathroom mirror, practicing what to write on my whiteboard when I can't speak. "Water, please. Pain medicine. Call doctor." I add another. "I'm afraid." Then erase it immediately. The emotional toll settles over me as I place post-it notes around my apartment with instructions for myself. The uncertainty of what the pathology report will show after surgery. Whether the cancer has spread, if I'll recognize my own voice when if it returns. A gentle knock interrupts my thoughts. Nurse Mariah stands in the doorway of the exam room where I've been preparing discharge paperwork. "I noticed you're alone," she says, her eyes taking in the empty chairs around me. "Would you like me to check on you during your recovery? I live in Tacoma too." The kindness in her voice nearly breaks me. I blink rapidly, nodding before I can talk myself out of accepting help. "Thank you," I whisper. As I prepare my whiteboard for post-surgery communication that evening, I wonder, should I tell my family the full seriousness of my diagnosis now, hoping they'd realize their mistake, or protect my dignity and handle this alone? Speaking truth might bring them back, but was family that needed to be guilted into caring worth having at all? The question haunts me as I carefully write out instructions for my silent recovery, my cat watching from the windowsill, the only witness to my preparation for facing mortality alone. The next day, my phone chimes with the distinctive tone I've assigned to Instagram notifications. I shouldn't look. The surgery is 3 days away, and I need to focus on preparation, not family drama. But my finger moves of its own accord, unlocking the screen. Mom's post appears first. A sunset photo with everyone's silhouettes against the amber Bahamian sky, making memories with the people who matter most. Family first. Bahamas 2025. Blessed. The comments flood in beneath it. Such a beautiful family. You guys are relationship goals. Love how close you all are. My thumb hovers over the screen. A hot flush creeps up my neck as I scroll to find myself tagged in Cassie's latest post, a professional family portrait I took last Christmas, my gift to them since I couldn't afford store-bought presents. Nothing more precious than family bonds. Missing our photographer at Greer. Callaway today. Family love. The phone slips from my suddenly numb fingers, landing face down on my lap. My chest tightens, each breath becoming a conscious effort. They're building a public shrine to family connection while I sit alone with cancer growing in my throat. Dad's text arrives next. Thinking of you, kiddo. The resort has great Wi-Fi. Let us know how the appointment goes. He doesn't remember. He doesn't remember it's not an appointment. It's surgery. It's cancer. I reach for my sketch pad, the design for the Anderson kitchen renovation due tomorrow, but my hands tremble so badly the pencil creates jagged, unusable lines across the page. I try again, focusing on the simple task of drawing a straight line. The tremor worsens. This design means $1,200 rent money, food money, medicine money. I can't afford to lose this client. My phone pings with an email notification. The Andersons want to move up the deadline. We're so excited to see your vision. Can you send it first thing tomorrow instead of end of day? The room tilts slightly. I close my eyes and press my hands against the cool surface of my drafting table. You can do this. You've always done this. You've always handled everything alone. Night brings no relief. I lie awake at 3:17 a.m., my heart hammering against my ribs as if trying to escape. The ceiling fan rotates in endless circles, hypnotic in the darkness. What if I don't wake up from anesthesia? What if the cancer has spread? What if my voice never returns? Who would even know if something went wrong? Morning reveals new tasks I hadn't considered. I need to stock up on soft foods for post-surgery. I need extra cat litter for Clover. I need to fill the prescription for pain medication. I need to arrange for someone to water the single plant on my windowsill. The list expands with each passing hour. A mountain of solitary preparation. I arrange my apartment with meticulous care, placing essentials at arm's reach beside the sofa that will become my recovery bed. The whiteboard from the dollar store gets positioned where I can reach it while lying down. I write emergency contacts in careful block letters, not my family's numbers, but Mrs. Peterson next door. Urgent care. The surgical nurse's direct line. Beside the whiteboard, I place a small bell, its cheerful tone at odds with its purpose, a lifeline when I won't be able to call out. A knock at my door startles me. I'm not expecting anyone. I open it to find Mrs. Peterson, her silver hair neatly pinned back, holding a ceramic container that smells of chicken and herbs. Homemade soup, she says, pressing it into my hands. For after your surgery, I made it how Roger liked it when he had his throat surgery back in 2092. Her eyes, magnified behind thick glasses, hold mine. I know what it's like when family lets you down, dear. My own sister couldn't be bothered when Roger was dying. She pats my arm. We're not related, but we're still family. 8. The simple kindness nearly breaks me. I accept the soup, my throat too tight for words. On the surgery day, the hospital pre-op room is colder than I expected, the paper gown offering little protection against the aggressive air conditioning. I clutch my intake forms, rereading information I've memorized. Family medical history, mother high blood pressure, father early onset arthritis, no history of cancer. No history of abandonment listed anywhere. Nurse Mariah adjusts my IV, her movements efficient but gentle. She glances at the empty chair beside my bed, then at the visitor section of my form where I've written N.A. in careful letters. Are you sure there's no one we should call? She asks, her voice soft. This is serious surgery. I'm fine, I say automatically, the words practiced and hollow. The doctor mentioned potential voice changes, she continues, checking my blood pressure. Having someone here would help with communication afterward. Pride keeps my tears at bay, but just barely. I've got it covered. Nurse Mariah sits on the edge of my bed, something shifting in her professional demeanor. When I had my appendix out last year, my husband was deployed overseas. I thought I could handle it alone. She adjusts her scrubs. I was wrong. The monitor beeps steadily beside us, marking heartbeats of silence. Okay, I whisper finally. If something happens, they need to know. My voice breaks on the last word, and with it, something inside me cracks open. I shouldn't have to face cancer alone. Nurse Mariah's hand finds mine, warm and steady. No, you shouldn't, and you won't. She squeezes my fingers once, then stands with new purpose. Across town, Mrs. Peterson enters my apartment with the spare key I left her. She places Clover's favorite mouse toy on the floor, then sets up the small webcam I purchased so I can see him from the hospital. Come on, handsome. She coos to my confused cat. Your mom needs to see you're okay. In a quiet corner of the hospital chapel, the chaplain sits with me before they wheel me to surgery. He doesn't speak, doesn't offer platitudes or prayers. He simply holds my hand, his weathered palm cradling mine in the silence, a stranger offering more comfort than blood ever has. The contrasts aren't lost on me. The neighbor I exchange occasional pleasantries with sets up care for my cat. The nurse I met hours ago advocates for my needs. The chaplain I've never seen before sits in sacred silence with me. Meanwhile, the people who share my DNA sip tropical drinks under palm trees. Family is about actions, not blood. The revelation settles into my bones, solid and undeniable. When Nurse Mariah returns, her phone in hand, I nod once. She makes the call to my mother, her voice professional but firm. I can't hear the other end of the conversation, but I see Mariah's expression harden, see her spine straighten as she speaks words I wish I'd said years ago. Mrs. Calloway, your daughter is about to undergo surgery for thyroid cancer. She will be unable to speak afterward and has no one here with her. The anesthesiologist arrives, adding something to my IV. Warmth floods my veins as the room begins to soften around the edges. I feel tears sliding down my temples into my hair, but for once, I don't fight them. The surgeon appears above me, masked and confident. We're ready to begin, he says as the monitors beep their steady rhythm in the background. For the first time in my life, I'm not facing a crisis alone. It took cancer to teach me that family isn't who shares your blood, it's who shows up when you're bleeding. After the surgery was done, I woke up from the anesthesia. I float in and out of awareness as voices murmur around me. The ceiling tiles blur above me, harsh white squares that fade in and out of focus. The cancer was more extensive than we anticipated. A male voice says, complete thyroidectomy was necessary. We'll need pathology to determine if further treatment is required. My throat burns like I've swallowed fire. When I try to swallow, pain radiates from my neck to my jaw. Through the haze of anesthesia, I register the steady beeping of monitors and the soft rustle of medical charts. Nurse Mariah leans into my field of vision, her pen scratching across a clipboard. I'm documenting everything, Greer. When you're more alert, I'll explain what the doctor found and what happens next. She pauses, patting my hand. You're going to need these to communicate for a while. She holds up laminated cards with simple phrases: pain, water, bathroom, help. The reality of my silent recovery crashes into me. A whiteboard sits on the table beside my bed, waiting for longer messages my voice can't express. The medical transport driver is waiting. Another nurse says, surgery ran longer than expected, but he says there's no rush. Mariah nods. Tell him we're keeping her overnight for observation. He'll take her home tomorrow. She fluffs my pillow, adjusting the bed so I'm semi-upright. We've prepared the recovery room with extra pillows and a special neck support. The ice packs are ready when you need them. My eyes grow heavy again as medication pulls me under. The next time I surface, I hear Mariah's voice, firm and professional, from somewhere near the door. Mrs. Calloway, your daughter has papillary thyroid carcinoma. She's not being dramatic about health issues. She had surgery today to remove her entire thyroid gland, and she was completely alone. A long silence follows. We didn't realize. My mother's voice sounds small, stripped of its usual confidence. Cancer? My father's voice cracks on the word. Yes, cancer, Mariah confirms. Greer asked for help last week. She needed someone to drive her home after surgery. We thought it was just routine, my mother whispers. She's always been independent. She's always been neglected, Mariah corrects gently. There's a difference. I drift off again before hearing their response. When I next wake, Mariah is checking my vitals. The clock on the wall reads 8:30 p.m. Her shift should have ended hours ago. You're still here. I mouth, unable to make sound. I wasn't going to let you wake up alone, she says, adjusting my IV. Besides, there's someone who wants to say hello. She holds up her phone. On the screen, Clover stretches across my pillow at home, his orange tail flicking lazily. Mrs. Peterson's wrinkled hand scratches behind his ears. Your neighbor sends her love, Mariah says. She says Clover's being a perfect gentleman. Tears leak from the corners of my eyes. Mariah dabs them away with a tissue. The hospital social worker came by while you were sleeping. She continues. She's arranged follow-up care for you, regardless of whether your family stays. You won't be alone for this, Greer. As I drifted in and out of consciousness in recovery, I wondered. If they came now, out of guilt rather than love, should I welcome them back into my life, or maintain the boundaries their absence had finally taught me to build? The question lingers as voices approach from the hallway. Mariah straightens, positioning herself protectively beside my bed like a sentinel. The next day, after the surgery, my mother enters first, her face shocking in its nakedness. No makeup hides the dark circles under her eyes, or the worry lines cutting across her forehead. Her hair, usually perfectly styled, hangs limp around her shoulders. Behind her, Landon shuffles in, his tall frame hunched as he stares at the floor tiles. He can't meet Mariah's steady gaze. Cassie follows, her designer handbag clutched against her chest like armor. Her usual confident stride has vanished. She freezes at the sight of the medical equipment surrounding me, her eyes widening at the bandages wrapped around my throat. Oh God, she whispers. My father stands in the doorway, his face ashen. For the first time in my memory, he looks old. You're awake, my mother says, stepping forward. Her hand hovers over mine but doesn't touch. We came as soon as we heard. As soon as you were forced to hear, I think. We had to book a red-eye, Landon offers. 2 layovers. We lost all our deposits. The words hang in the air, heavy with the implication that I should appreciate their sacrifice. Before I can reach for my whiteboard, the surgeon appears in the doorway. Good, you're all here, he says briskly. I'm Dr. Winters. I performed Greer's complete thyroidectomy yesterday. The cancer had spread further than initial scans indicated. He looks directly at me. We got it all, but there are some things we need to discuss about your recovery, including potential voice changes. My family stares at him, then at me, their faces a symphony of shock, guilt, and dawning comprehension. They're finally hearing what I tried to tell them a week ago. But I've lost my voice, and I'm not sure I want it back just to make them feel better. The next morning after I woke up, drained by the anesthesia again, the fluorescent lights cast a harsh glow over my hospital room as Mom bustled in with an armful of yellow daisies. Dad and Cassie trail behind her, both wearing expressions that remind me of the time Landon crashed the family car, and they all rehearsed what to tell the insurance company. There's my brave girl. Mom chirps, her voice pitched too high. She arranges the flowers with frantic energy, moving them from one spot to another on the windowsill. We're here now, so everything's fine. The bandage around my throat feels suddenly tighter. I press my hand against the whiteboard in my lap, but don't lift it yet. Yesterday's flight was awful, Cassie announces, dropping into the visitor's chair. She tosses her hair back, fingers trembling slightly. I am dying, literally, but that's not important. What matters is, this whole situation was just a big misunderstanding. Dad nods too enthusiastically. We thought it was routine. You've always been so capable, honey. Landon steps forward, wallet already in hand. Whatever you need, sis. Seriously, name it. He doesn't mention the $13,000 he already owes me. I stare at them, noting how they've positioned themselves around the room. Strategic, like they're boxing me in. Greer, Mom says, voice sharpening when I don't respond. Her smile remains fixed, but strain shows at the corners. You're making things difficult. The doctor says you can whisper if you try. Nurse Mariah steps closer to my bed, her presence solid and reassuring beside me. Miss Calloway needs to rest her vocal cords completely for 48 hours, she says firmly. The whiteboard is necessary. I lift the board slowly, revealing what I wrote while they were talking. The marker strokes are precise, my design training evident even in these simple words. Where were you when I asked? Their faces freeze in unison. My medical file lies open on my lap, the pathology report visible with its stark terminology. The silence stretches until it becomes uncomfortable. Mom reaches for the board. Honey, we've explained. I pull it back and write again, the squeak of the marker loud in the quiet room. I turn it around. I needed you before surgery, not after. We came as soon as we heard how serious it was, Cassie protests, leaning forward. You didn't exactly spell it out. Dad clears his throat. The Bahamas trip was planned months ago, non-refundable. We thought you understood. Nurse Mariah's hand settles on my shoulder. The weight grounds me as I erase the board and begin writing again, taking my time. When I finish, I hold it up carefully, making sure they all can see. $13,500 loan, plus $11,000 scholarship, plus $280. Medical transport equals $24,780. Dad reads it aloud, his voice breaking on the final number. The color drains from his face as understanding dawns. That scholarship was years ago, Cassie says, shifting uncomfortably. And we didn't know this was serious. I take the board back, cross out serious with a single firm line, and write important to me underneath. Jesus, Greer. Landon whispers, finally looking directly at me. I guess we assumed you'd handle it like always. The room falls silent except for the steady beeping of my monitors. Mom sinks into a chair, her earlier energy evaporating. She looks smaller somehow, older. We failed you, Dad says finally, his voice rough. For a long time. I let the words hang in the air, neither accepting nor rejecting them. The acknowledgement feels both too little and somehow monumental. Dr. Wallace chooses this moment to enter, tablet in hand. He nods to my family before addressing me. Your recovery is looking good, but I need to discuss your aftercare, he says, adjusting his glasses. The first 72 hours are critical. You'll need 24-hour care for at least the first few days. Someone to help with medication management, watching for complications, and assisting with basic needs. He glances around the room. Who will be providing this care? 5 sets of eyes turn to me. I feel the weight of their expectations, the assumption that I'll forgive immediately, welcome them back without consequence. For a moment, I consider it the easier path of letting things return to normal. Instead, I write carefully on the board, I need to think. Then I turn toward the window, away from their stricken faces. In the reflection of the glass, I watch them huddle in the hallway outside my room, heads bent together in urgent discussion. Their voices float back to me, muffled but distinct. What do we do now? Cassie asks. Whatever she needs, Dad responds, shoulders slumped. Landon paces, running hands through his hair. She won't even look at us. Mom stands apart from them, arms wrapped around herself, watching me through the doorway. Our eyes meet in the reflection. I don't turn around. The choice looms before me, heavy with implications. Accept their help born of guilt, or continue this journey alone? The answer isn't as simple as it once would have been. The surgery removed more than just my thyroid. It cut away my automatic willingness to prioritize their comfort over my needs. I press my hand against the bandage on my throat and close my eyes. For the first time in my life, the silence between us speaks my truth louder than any words I could write. I sit in the sterile examination room 3 months after surgery, my voice soft but finally present as doctor. Winters examines my healing scar. The incision is healing beautifully, Greer, she says, her fingers gentle against my neck. How's your voice feeling? Stronger every day, I answer, the words coming out in that new timbre. I'm still getting used to slightly huskier, but mine. When the appointment concludes, I walk into the waiting room where Landon sits, scrolling through his phone. He looks up, tucking it away immediately. All good? He asks, standing. Clean margins, no spread. Follow up in 6 months. I pull out my phone calendar, scheduling the appointment myself rather than working around anyone else's plans. I'll need a ride for that one too. Just tell me when, he says. The words I need no longer stick in my throat like unwelcome guests. They simply exist. No apology, no justification, trailing behind them. Outside, Seattle greets us with rare October sunshine. Landon walks beside me, maintaining the new rhythm we've established since the surgery presence, without pressure, support without expectation. My phone buzzes. Mom's name appears on screen with a message that feels like deja vu. Minor outpatient procedure next Tuesday. Need someone to drive me home. 3 months ago, this message would have sent me into a tailspin of guilt-laced obligation. Now I simply check my calendar, noting client meetings that afternoon. I can drive you home, but I have client meetings after 3 p.m. I type back. No guilt ripples through me as I hit send. No fear of rejection follows. The boundaries stand, neither defensive walls nor collapsing fences, just clear markers of where I begin and end. Later that evening, I arranged cheese and crackers on my coffee table, now moved to the center of my apartment rather than pushed against the wall to make room for everyone else's comfort but mine. Mrs. Peterson arrives first, her silver hair freshly styled, followed by Nurse Mariah still in scrubs from her shift. The hospital chaplain, Bernard, arrives last with a bottle of sparkling cider. To our third monthly gathering, he announces as we lift our glasses. To the family we choose and the strength we find, Mrs. Peterson adds, her eyes crinkling at the corners. We exchange small gifts, a handmade bookmark from Bernard, a tiny potted succulent from Mariah, a hand-knitted scarf from Mrs. Peterson. My contributions are small watercolor paintings of places meaningful to each of them. Never thought cancer would bring me better friends than 30 years of being a good daughter, I say. Mariah squeezes my hand. Sometimes we need earthquakes to reveal the solid ground. After they leave, I sit at my desk where my laptop displays the application for a remote degree in interior architecture. The program I abandoned 6 years ago has evolved, now offering exactly what I need. Landon's first loan repayment arrived yesterday on time, with a note saying simply, "Thank you for believing in me when I didn't deserve it." Cassie called last week asking if I could watch her dog, asking first, not assuming. Next Sunday, we're having dinner at my parents' house. Everyone is bringing something. No assumed sacrifices, no expected martyrdom. My finger hovers over the submit button on my application, the light catching on my neck where the scar is fading but will always remain visible, a reminder of both pain and turning point. As I press down, I wonder if forgiveness means forgetting, or simply moving forward with new understanding. Is it possible to rebuild a relationship once you've seen its true foundation? Or is it wiser to construct something entirely new on honest ground? The confirmation page loads, bright against the darkening evening sky. Whatever comes next, I'll face it with my voice reclaimed, respected, and finally heard.